Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys Secret Base figure preview video. Now before we begin, I have to say a massive thank you as always to the incredibly talented Ryan Kirkwood for going out in person and snapping these gorgeous high-res pics. Show Ryan some love down in the comments below, because without him, this series literally wouldn't be possible. Now, if you would like to pre-order Vengeance in either Standard, Deluxe, or the collectible set with the Bat Signal version, he is available with toyswonderland.com. Links to all of those are down in the description below. They have 12-month installment plans and an awesome reward system. Now, I personally didn't think Hot Toys would have this guy ready on the day the film released, but they did, and I personally am super excited to see it. Now, we will be discussing the figure himself in all of the different variations, the Bat Signal, the Bat Cycle, and you'll also see the light boxes in the background in a couple of these pictures. Now, this image right here does a great job of highlighting the different versions. You can, of course, get Batman by himself, the Bat Signal by itself, the deluxe version of Vengeance that comes with a ton more accessories, or the collectible set. Now, I personally will be going with the set. You get everything that comes with the deluxe version of Batman, plus the Bat Signal. And the best part about that Bat Signal is it doesn't look like it's going to be overly large, so it's not going to take up a ton of space in your display. And that, in my opinion, is a very good thing. A lot of us are quite space conscious, and having this big honkin' bat light in the back of your cabinet, you could be putting other figures there. This will take up more room than just a regular 1/6 scale figure, but it's not as big as it could have been. This is about the right size for me. Now, as you can see, he comes with a ton of different accessories. I'm a big fan of calling a spade, so I'm going to call this guy what he is. A DX figure. If you're getting the deluxe version, you're getting a wingsuit, a ton of different accessories, 2 different head sculpts, swappable mouth plates, movable eyes, and a wired cape, plus a diorama display base. So how is this not a DX figure? Nevertheless, I'm super happy with the stuff that they decided to give him. You can see he does come with a couple of darts and these smaller grappling guns that do slide onto the rail on the inside of his gauntlet. He does of course have 2 of them, just like we saw in the movie and in the trailers. But interestingly enough, he comes with kind of a folded up version of the chess symbol. That's something that I don't remember seeing in the film. I could be wrong, I'll have to go back and see it again. Not that I needed much convincing to do that. He does come with 2 interchangeable mouth plates, making for a total of 3. One that's a super angry expression, one that's kind of mid-sentence, and one that's more stoic, so I like that we have options here. You also get some bat flares, and the card that is left at the scene of one of Riddler's crimes, as well as a pair of bat handcuffs. I wouldn't be surprised if most of this stuff can actually be stored on his utility belt. And that card is a very classy touch by Hot Toys. It's not something that's super difficult to make, mind you, but it just shows that they do have an insane level of attention to detail with this Batman. Now let's for a moment talk about this unmasked Robert Pattinson head sculpt. It's incredible. I love the way this looks. The likeness is uncanny, the hair looks great. Hot Toys has been getting better and better with their sculpted hair. You can see that he basically has individual strands sculpted in. You can also see that the eye makeup is present. That's one thing that's always bothered me about the previous incarnations of Batman, is that when the cowl comes off, so too magically does the eye makeup. And as far as I'm aware, it doesn't really work like that. I'm super glad that Matt Reeves decided, no, we're going to keep the makeup on because we're going to treat it like war paint. You actually see him applying it in the movie, and it's something that makes perfect sense for this version of Batman. And Hot Toys have done a really good job of translating what it looked like in the film into figure format. So much so that if you'd asked me if I would have wanted a Bruce Wayne head sculpt without the eye makeup on, I probably would have said no, this is my preferred look. Now you do get the interchangeable wingsuit. This, I believe, goes over the top of his regular batsuit. I don't think anyone will be displaying him with it, but it's an option if you decide to mix it up in your display. He also comes with an absolutely stunning cardboard backdrop. I am loving the black and red theme of this film, and that color palette has now trickled down to the display base topper and also the backdrop. It works so very nicely with this figure. He also has a fully wired cape. Now I personally am a huge fan of just natural drape capes, I just love the way they look. But there's no denying a wired cape will make a lot of people happy. Now, as mentioned earlier, there are multiple different flavors of vengeance, if you will. You can get the standard or the deluxe version. The biggest difference is the display base. The standard one is just your regular rectangular Hot Toys display base. You have 3 different toppers. So it's not like you're just getting a run-of-the-mill base, you still have options here. But with the deluxe version, you're getting a rooftop diorama. I absolutely love my diorama bases, and this might just be one of my new favorites. I believe it's from one very specific scene in the movie. I won't be spoiling anything here, but if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and it does work with one of the accessories that he comes with. Also, interestingly enough, in the promo pics, they showed that it's kind of modular. You can extend it and maneuver bits and pieces around to make it bigger or smaller to fit your display, and I really like that. You can also flip it round in case you want to have the stairs on the front, or if you want to have this gargoyle-esque protrusion facing forward. I don't quite yet know which way I'm going to go in my display. It all depends on whether Hot Toys are going to make other figures in the line and what their bases end up looking like. If they gel nicely with Batman sitting up a little bit higher, then I'll flip it round, have one foot up on the gargoyle. But if they just have the regular rectangular bases, then maybe we'll flip it the other way. I do, however, really like the texture of the stonework, and it's painted very nicely. He also appears to have a split-cut boot design. Articulation was a very heavy focus for this figure, and I'll explain why in just a second, but starting off with those boots, they look great, and they do look accurate to the movie. You do have some regular military-style boots up underneath what would be in the film some leather-style boot spats, but here in figure format, they appear to be fully sculpted. And I'm a huge fan of that. That just means, number one, they can apply more paint to them and get them to look more natural when weathered, but also they won't deteriorate over time because they are just made of a rubbery plastic rather than pleather. One of the other reasons why I say this guy is focused quite heavily on articulation is because the suit is made entirely of fabric. Now, the color does look on point to me. Some people have complained about both the color and the material, and yes, I'm right there with you. In the film, it kind of looked like a flight suit material, where here it looks like a sturdier fabric, almost like Cordura shrunk down into a smaller scale. I personally am fine with that. It looks to be hard wearing, but still somewhat accurate to the movie. At least all of the details are in the right place. I'm a huge fan of accuracy, but if it means getting something that's more fragile because the material has to be a thinner weave, I would prefer them go with something like this. He does have the drop holster on his thigh and the knee pads, plus the thigh armor has been accurately stitched in to the pants themselves. All of this is represented in the film-used suit. The utility belt is very police belt-esque, just like it was in the movie, and I love that. As I said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if you can store most of his gadgets on the belt. Now, one big point of contention that was there for me at least when this guy was first announced is the ab armor up to his chest plate. In the film, I thought it looked like it was the same material as the chest plate. But Hot Toys, interestingly enough, decided to go with padded fabric. Number one, that will give you a greater range of motion, so he should be a lot better for posing. But number two, there is a color mismatch between those plates. Now, upon looking at the actual screen-used prop suit, that's 100% accurate. There is supposed to be a color difference. I still think those are armor plates just because of what happens to the suit in the movie, but nevertheless, I'm not super mad about their choices here. To be 100% honest, going into the movie, I didn't love the look of this suit, but now that I've seen it twice, you can bet that I am itching to get this figure in hand. It's one of those instances where when you see photos versus seeing it move and do things on screen, it just starts to make a whole lot more sense. This suit fits the world that was built for it perfectly. And now, in figure format, I think Hot Toys have done a darn fine job with their version of this Batsuit. He does also have those pins on his gauntlet. I'm pretty sure those are for his mini grappling guns, although I can't really confirm that because I don't remember seeing anything to do with them at all in the movie. Nevertheless, they are there and they do look accurate. He does also have these yellow buckles up on his bicep armor. I'm not sure how that's all going to work and connect up to the rest of his suit there, because he does also have the big shoulder pads. I would suppose that there are some elastic bits and pieces to hold everything in place and get it to look as flush as possible while still retaining a ton of range. Now let's talk about the real reason I'm sure most of you clicked on this video, and that's to see the cowled Robert Pattinson head sculpt. This is awesome. I personally really like the way this cowl looks, and they captured it to a T in 1/6 scale. The mouth plate is on point, the skin texture, the paint applications, and the likeness. Plus, the cowl isn't 100% pristine. There are scratches and nicks and scrapes. I have to say, I think Ryan outdid himself with these pictures. This might be some of his best work yet. Don't forget these figures are displayed behind glass, but Ryan has some way of getting right up close so we can get the crispest, clearest picture possible. And that's exactly what we have right here. That image looks gorgeous. Seeing these photos actually makes me even more excited to get this figure in hand. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you do have swappable mouth plates and moving eyes. This isn't the purse system, the eyes actually move independently of one another. So you can have them looking off to one side if you want, or you can get real goofy with it and have him going cross-eyed. It's entirely up to you. But seeing as Robert Pattinson used his eyes a lot to express himself in the movie, I am so glad they decided to be able to give you the option to actually move them. Swappable eyes would have been really good, just like we got with the Ben Affleck Batman, but I do prefer being able to put them in pretty much any position that I want to. Now, as you can see, the cape does tuck in behind the chest plate. What that's going to mean for customizers and cape makers out there, not entirely sure, but it does have to remove so you can install the wingsuit, and we did see a few promo pics without him actually wearing the cape, so it should be able to come off, and then custom cape wizards like Jackson Ju will be able to step in and give us a glorious drape cape, because that's what I personally am waiting for. Now, the one key reservation that a lot of people had were the proportions. Some people said that Robert Pattinson, because he did say that he wasn't going to bulk up for the movie, was too slim to play Batman. I think he pretty much dispelled all of that nonsense in the movie. His work speaks for itself, but now in figure format, I think Hot Toys have been a little kind. They've bulked him up a little, but it works wonders for the figure. This guy looks like $1,000,000. Now, honestly, I am hoping they go pretty deep with this line. If you asked me who they would make next, I would probably guess a Catwoman would be on the cards, but of course I don't know anything for certain. Let me know who else you would like to see from the line down in the comments below. As I mentioned earlier on in the video, there are multiple different versions here. There's the standard, the double, super, triple cheeseburger deluxe with everything including the bat signal and the deluxe accessories. That's the one I'm going for. However, I also decided to pick up a second. I'll also be getting the standard figure, so when this guy comes out, I will very likely do 2 different reviews, so if you're just getting the standard and you don't really care about everything else, you don't have to sit through a video of me unboxing all of that extra stuff when you know that you're not going to be getting it anyway. Also, I did love the movie that much that yes, I think it warrants picking up 2, so I can either display one wearing the wingsuit, or I can have him with the unmasked Robert Pattinson head sculpt on there. Because let's be honest, that head sculpt is simply too good not to use. I also decided to pick up the Batman light box that you're seeing here and the vertical version, because in the background of the display, I reckon these are going to look stunning. I've also decided to wrap one of the LEDs in my module cases in clear red film, just to set that atmosphere that was captured and created so very nicely in the movie. As for the bat signal, it's relatively simple. I do like that it kind of has this homemade effect to it where the slats have been broken and the bat signal has been applied over the top, the bat symbol I should say. It's also rusted and weathered, and you can plug it in to power it full time, just like Hot Toys are doing in their display. In their promo images, they do show it sitting up quite close to a wall for you to be able to actually get the symbol projected on there. I'm hoping they tweak the lighting system just a little so you can have it slightly further back, because I would love to have this pointed up to the top of the module case, and when you look up there, you see that symbol. One thing that hasn't gone up for pre-order yet is the Bat Cycle. When it does, I'm sure we'll do an additional figure preview on it, but as you can see, it looks awesome. It's a big, beefy, chunky bike, and there is an LED for the headlight. It does also have some chipping and scuffing and weathering here and there. This bike isn't pristine, as kind of nothing is in this particular version of Gotham City. It's broken down, it's disheveled, and this bike fits right in. I love the way the engine sticks out the side of the bike. It gives it this real beefy look. If you haven't already, check out the review on the McFarlane Toys version of the Bat Cycle. This is pretty much a way higher end upscaled version of that. I wouldn't be surprised if the tires were rubber, the wheels can rotate, the handlebars can turn, and hopefully there is a kickstand, unlike the smaller scale version. I also love the satin finish. It's not glossy and over the top, and it's not chalky and matte. It just has a very nice, smooth, silky exterior, just like it did in the film. Overall, yeah, as soon as this bike goes up for pre-order, you bet that I'll be picking one up, because Batman sitting there straddling this bike looking like a total badass, that is something that I'd like to see in my display. And being a bike, it's not going to be too big to have in said display. Something like the Batmobile, which I absolutely must have, is going to be far more difficult to accommodate. Now, Jazz Inc. are currently working on their Batman 2022 Batmobile, and I can't wait to see that. Let me know if you'd like to see a figure preview video for that car down in the comments below. Now, don't forget, if you do want to pre-order Vengeance, he is available in multiple different versions with toyswonderland.com. Link is in the description. They have 12-month installment plans and an awesome reward system. Once again, a huge thank you to Ryan Kirkwood for his gorgeous pics. Check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.